Today, we're going to teach Braden about some of the tools that we use.
And you.
And teach me?
Wait. Oh, you said teach.
Yeah, we're going to teach you some of the tools that we use for working on RC cars.
And what tools you need.
What tools you need for working on RC cars, yeah. So, and some of this is just luxury stuff. It's not stuff you really need. It just makes things easier. Let's see. Like the little parts tray here, for example. I mean, you can lay a towel out on your workbench and that'll keep your screws and stuff from rolling around. But I like just having a little parts tray. I've got 3 or 4 of these, but it keeps the screws and stuff separate.
So like this, you don't really need it unless you need the
Yeah, you kind of do.
You kind of do, but...
Yeah, this is a temperature gun. And basically, you just pull the trigger, it comes on. You point and click, and it tells you the temperature. Like, you're not supposed to shoot it at yourself, but there you go, I'm 89 degrees. And it works that quick. 70 degrees, 70 degrees, 70 degrees. Which is pretty interesting because that's where my thermostat is pretty much set. See? So, like if you're running your car for the first time and you just put a brushless motor in there and you need to know if it's getting too hot, you just shoot it with a temp gun and it tells you what the temperature your motor is. You want to keep them below about 160 degrees Fahrenheit to keep them from burning up your motor. And if you've got too high of a gear ratio in there, you can actually cause your motor to overheat. So we'll move things out of the way as we talk about them. Loctite is Loctite 243. It's the blue thread locker, medium strength. I've seen people use red, and you don't really want to use the red because that's more of a permanent bond. It's not for bolts on RC cars where you're going to be taking them in and out. You want to use this because the red will eventually just destroy aluminum threads. But get you a bottle of 243 Loctite. That's definitely needed, especially if you're building cars that have metal parts in them, whereas the screws are screwed into the metal parts. And this is more of it's one of my old machinist tools, pin vices. And what this is, it's just a series of basically handled drill chucks. So you can take like a drill bit and stick in here. You can actually clear out a hole if you got some dirt or something in a hole. Those come in handy. And then we got the magnetizer, the infamous magnetizer and demagnetizer. That sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But it always magnetizes. If you've got a screwdriver that you need to be magnetic, I mean, let's take, for example, let's see, is this magnetic? No, this drill bit's not magnetic. Okay, so watch how fast this works. There it is. It picks up the screw just instantly. So these things come in handy.
But ours don't work with the demagnetizer.
The demagnetizer doesn't work as well as what you think it does. Like this is a magnetic screwdriver, but it comes, you buy it, it's already magnetic. So it's been probably subjected to magnetism for a long time. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to take the magnetism off of that. But anyway, it comes in handy for magnetizing your screwdrivers and stuff. We've already talked about this. And then this is my hex driver set. These are made by Dynamite. And it comes with, the set I believe comes with the 3mm, the 2.5 and the 2.0. And I could be wrong. It might be the 2.52 and the 1.5. But I bought 2 of them separately because the kit only came with 3. These things are just about indestructible though. I've had them for quite a while. Actually, you were 2 years old when I bought them, and you're almost 9 now. So I've had these for 7 years, and I've never once replaced the tips. And these have been used on countless numbers of RC projects, taking cars apart, putting them all back together. And the tips are still, I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but the tips are still in fabulous shape. The metal they use on these tips is really nice. They fit the screws really well. There's not a lot of gap in your tool to cause them to want to strip. So
And
I've seen some bad reviews of Dynamite stuff, but as far as these go, I highly recommend them. And I've honed a lot of tools in my day.
we got some scissors that you said these were bad, right?
Yeah, those aren't any good. These are body scissors that I just bought. They're supposed to be a curved and a straight, but if you look at this blade, right here, it doesn't curve. From here back to about there, it's just straight. It's what it is, they just bent it. And as far as cutting a wheel arch out, they're just absolutely useless. You can't cut a tight enough curve with them. And what I've had before, back in when I first got into RC back in the 80s, I had cuticle scissors and manicure scissors, and they were both curved, and those worked great. But it's been a long time since I've used them. And anymore, when I'm cutting a body, we'll go over those in a minute. Anymore, when I'm cutting a body, I just take a fine tip Sharpie or a Bic marker and drive around the body line that I'm going to cut if I need to. Sometimes the body lines are nice enough you can see them. And then I just drive around it real lightly with the X-Acto knife here. And once you just do that, you basically just have to scratch the body and then it snaps. And I don't have a piece of Lexan here to show you.
I thought it was over there.
But anyway, just a light scribe on the Lexan and then snap it. And like if you're doing the wheel arches, you can drive around the wheel arch and then come in with your scissors and cut relief cuts in there. Because a wheel arch, once you scribe it, it won't break out real easy unless you cut some relief cuts in there. But once you do, cut 7 or 8 relief cuts around there, cutting up to the line. Like here's your arch. You just cut this way and then that way and then that way and that way. Then these little pieces will snap out. And it works really great. I've had good scissors and I've used that method before, but I've just since gone to the razor blade because it just works so much better.
And then we got these really, really, really good scissors right here.
Yeah, the Fiskars. They're not high-end brand, but they're Fiskars. They came from like a hobby shop, Hobby Lobby or something like that. I don't remember.
Hobby
Lobby.
Probably.
Yeah.
Horizon Hobby?
No,
Oh.
Hobby Lobby.
Oh.
2 different stores.
Oh,
But
Hobby Lobby.
these are really nice for trimming decals. If you got straight decals, I use those. And then for the rest of the decals, I use the X-Acto knife. And then just go back to the body stuff. The hole reamer used for punching the holes through your body. These are, if you're building a lot of cars that have Lexan bodies and they come unpainted and undrilled, these are pretty much a must-have item. You can use a hobby knife to cut the holes out, but chances are you're gonna mess it up.
Yeah.
And that reamer does a really good job.
One thing we have to get out of the way is obviously the super glue. So
use that for all kinds of stuff.
yeah, just use it whenever you
Tires.
Tires.
Yeah. You can buy the stuff that's specifically made for tires, but super glue works just as good. I never glue my tires though, if I can help it. If a tire won't stay on the rim because the car is just too fast, then I'll super glue them. But I really hate doing that because you break a wheel, you gotta buy a new tire.
Yeah, you gotta buy a new tire.
So if I can help it, I try not to do this. And if I do, I just put little drops around there, just tiny. I mean, you can barely see it. And I'll let it almost kind of set up a little bit before I stick it in the wheel, just enough to keep it from coming out. I hate gluing tires. That's why B-lock wheels are so popular and stuff. But
yeah.
Usually those are only with the you only see those on the crawlers. But this is another set.
Screwdriver set.
Yeah. That I've got. It was $15 on eBay. It comes with a Phillips, a straight, 2 nut drivers, and 4 hex drivers in the back. And this is actually, for being a cheap Chinese tool, I've used these quite a bit, and they're actually pretty nice. I mean, it's good material. I used to be a machinist, so when it comes to metal, I'm pretty picky. That these seem like they're made out of a good grade material. I haven't stripped it out yet, and I've used this on a lot of like WPL crawlers and stuff like that. And it holds up. Pretty decent tool to have around, just handy.
Yeah, you got the... I'm not gonna touch that.
Milwaukee?
Yep.
Yeah, the
Flip
box knife.
The box knife.
This is what I open all the RC packages with when they come in the mail.
Yeah.
That's why I put that out there. This is my favorite tool because usually when I'm using it, it's like opening a Christmas present. And then I got the Tamiya Screwdriver Set. And when I initially saw these, they're really nice. It's a high grade material. But after using it a bit, I found that, and I'm building a Tamiya TTO2 that's got nothing but Phillips screws in it, which sucks to begin with. And this screwdriver is too small, and this one's too big. So why would Tamiya make a screwdriver set that's got screwdrivers that just don't work for their own kids?
Yeah. So unless you're building a different type of car, you kind of have to get this just in case it's all Phillips. So.
No, if I had it to do over again, I don't know that I would buy this. It's really nice because it's got this handle. You can use them just like that, without the big handle, or you can just snap them in here. And it's a really nice set of screwdrivers. It's just for the RC cars. I think this one's just a little bit too big for anything I've seen as far as the Phillips goes, and this one it's just too small.
Yeah. And that
for most screws.
Yeah.
And this, I haven't tried this one yet because I haven't had any screws that were that small. But it does come with a little Allen wrench for the pinion set screws.
At least it has an Allen wrench.
Got the 2-nut drivers, a straight, and this smaller straight here. So it's got 2 straights, 3 Phillips, a hex, and 2-nut drivers. Yeah. But it's not a bad set. It's just for the Tamiya, working on a Tamiya car. It's funny, Tamiya craft tools. They're not good for working on a Tamiya car as far as I'm concerned. Yep. We'll eventually convert all those over to hex head screws anyway.
And then we got the box cutter.
Yeah, this is just another big razor knife. It's just handy because you snap the blade off and you get basically a brand new blade, as long as you're not cutting stuff like that and dulling the whole edge. If you just, you're cutting there, once you get that worn out, you just snap that off and run the next bit out. Yeah. And it locks. They come in handy.
Yeah. And then we got the soft pair of pliers.
Soft jaw pliers.
Soft jaw pliers.
Yeah. We just use those.
If you wanted to get something like a screw, and you use these and you accidentally scratch the body, and then there's another screw, take these and you don't want to scratch the body too. So.
Yeah. Keep it from marring stuff up. Yeah. I've used these on shock shafts. They're pretty good for gripping like a shock shaft. I mean, it holds them pretty tight, and it won't mar the finish on a shock.
And then these are just regular pliers.
Those are Xuron side cutters.
Side cutters.
And what were we using those for?
To take off those little parts.
Off the sprue?
Off the sprue, yeah. And they're pretty good. I'd rather use these only for the sprue.
I've used these when I was working in a machine shop. We had these parts and they were 7/18 Inconel. Most people, 90% of the people are going to have a clue what 7/18 Inconel is. But it's a super duper hard piece of aerospace alloy used in test assemblies where they're testing a jet engine. Something that's not going to be destroyed if the engine blows up. And I use these to deburr, just grabbing big chunks of metal and just wrenching it off there. And they're still cutting sprues. So Xuron brand, they're not the best flush cut pliers. There's other ones out there you could spend more money on and get a lot nicer cut, like if you're just building models and things like that. But as far as the RC stuff, these will nip the sprues off and leave a pretty flush surface where you don't have to go back and doing much work. But if you do, that's where the files come in handy. You can knock those little nubs down with these files. Yeah. And smooth things out.
That's what we are probably going to get rid of for right now. And then I think this is...
Use that for putting just Q-tips.
Yeah, so
putting
if
grease.
you were grease, and if you were to put too much Loctite, you could just do that, and then use the other side.
Yeah, that's one thing I just should have mentioned on the Loctite. I've seen people. I used to work as a machinist, 25 years as a machinist. I put more screws in and taking them out in a day than people have in a year. And as far as the Loctite goes, one little tiny drop on the tip of a screw is more than enough. Yeah. I used to build drag cars, and I always put Loctite on the bolts and nuts.
Yeah, and
hold the parts on.
Yeah, and he's still trying to build this one car that is really neat. And it's probably going to turn out really neat, but it's probably just going to be on display.
But people put way too much Loctite on their screws. I mean, this bottle is 50 milliliter. This will last me 10 years.
10 years.
It's just a tiny, if you can see it on the screw, it's enough.
Yeah. And I think these paint brushes are to
that's what we put grease on with.
And we could probably smooth out the Loctite or the grease, same thing.
I use this just as a cleaning brush.
Yeah, cleaning brush, but I would think that if we put too much, we could just smear it around here. And then,
that's what I use Q-tips for.
Yeah, but...
Well, Q-tips, I use them for lots of things. Just, if you want to put grease on, don't have this handy or whatever, you can use Q-tips for everything. They just come in handy.
Well, what if both sides of the Q-tip was ruined?
Grab another one.
Oh.
You get them in boxes of 500.
Where? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to worry about throwing away a Q-tip. In fact, we'll just throw that one away. Paintbrushes come in handy.
Yep.
The Milwaukee, this, I just like Milwaukee tools. The only reason I have this one. Don't go out trying to find you a Milwaukee. They're expensive, but they'll last a long time. They're built to use out on the job. Did construction for a little while. And Milwaukee, Makita's another good brand.
Yeah.
But this one's, I just had it, and I thought about buying a Dremel, but every Dremel I've ever had, they've only lasted me for, maybe 6 months to a year. The bearings wear out. Everything just goes bad on them. They're cheap. But this one,
pretty much a sanding tool.
It's a beast. But I use this for everything. Like if I'm trimming out a body and I've got some spots that didn't turn out so good, I can take this and knock them down.
You probably had this for about 2 years now.
No, a little over a year, I think. Yeah. This is the M12 fuel stuff. They got all kinds of tools.
We got the pliers.
We use these for lots of different things in the hobby.
We got the pliers.
Just regular pliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, just regular pliers for just grabbing hold of crap. You can't get hold of body clips that won't come out like on the arm of granite. Jeez.
Yeah, I guess those people don't want the body to be taken off.
I can't wait till those start to wear out. We just got an arm of granite and put it together yesterday, or took it out of the box and everything.
And then we got the really fancy new pliers, right?
Those are hot racing shock pliers.
Hot racing shock pliers.
Yeah, for working on shocks. So usually you got shocks. These are just cheap Chinese shocks, but you don't want to mar the finish up on them, and that's what this area right here is for. Well, obviously not for this size.
Yeah. But
now that'll mar it up. You could always wrap a piece of tape around it or something and get in there and grip it. But it's just sometimes these are a bear to get off. Ain't that something?
Yep.
And there's no adjustment.
Are these pliers too, or different type of?
But anyway, this part right here, if you're putting the balls into the shock head,
the little balls,
these right here, that's what you use to press those in. These are used for, and basically the only time I ever use a shock wrench, they're the only time I ever would, because I just got these. I've always just used the nylon pliers, and the only time I ever needed a shock wrench was when I'm putting this on, because this is a pain to get on there sometimes.
Yeah.
But they'll come in handy. I haven't used them yet, but I will.
I guess. Oh, yeah. I think these are pliers too.
Those are vice grips.
Vice grips.
Yeah. The pliers I have are vice grip, but they're just vice grip brand. These are Snap-on. I use them for painting a lot. Like if I need to have a little part and I got it on the sprue, I can grab the sprue in there and then it'll actually lock. And then I can paint my parts. That's why you see the black paint on there. But these vice grips will come in handy for a lot of different things.
They look really old. That's probably why there's paint on them.
They're not old.
Oh, they're old?
No, these are, well, they're old, but they've been taken good care of.
Then we got the bolt.
That's the wrenches that come in most of your RC kits.
Yeah, so you
They're taking the wheel lugs off or taking the shocks off.
If this one, if you have like multiple TTO.
That came with Tamiya stuff.
Yeah, if you have multiple TTO2s, then you don't really need it.
Kyosho comes with those, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Team Associated, I've gotten some of those. I've got bunches of these. Team Associated cars came with those back in the day. I don't know what they have now, if they're different, but everybody's got them if you've got RC cars.
Yep.
And that's a turnbuckle wrench. That's
turnbuckle wrench?
Yeah, when you're adjusting the suspension, if they have turnbuckles. And this is a Team Lucy turnbuckle wrench.
Yep.
It's got a 3.5 millimeter, a 4 millimeter on this end, and then
3.5.
A 5 millimeter. The 3.5 is actually deeper in this jaw, and the 5 millimeters out here. But this is a nice tool. It's made out of a real nice, I think, it's not advertised, but I believe it's 70-75 aluminum, just based on my experience cutting truckloads of 70-75 aluminum. It's either that or 20-24, but I think it's 70-75. It may be 60-61. If the anodize kind of makes it hard to tell, but just hearing it, I think it's 70-75.
Yep, and we got the capacity controller, and this one right here.
Digital battery capacity checker.
Yep, and this one we got here has a crooked screen.
Yeah. Oh, your box fell over. But this is for checking your lipos. You plug a lipo in here, and depending on whether you have a 2S, 3S, 4S, 5S, whatever, you plug your battery balance lead over here, keeping your negative on this side. You just basically plug it in, it comes on, it tells you, give me a battery. This one right here will work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It tells you I'm in storage mode. It's at 51% capacity. 7 tells you the volts, and you can change the cell. This is a 2-cell. So right now we're on the second cell, and it's at 7.724. Or that's the total, I'm sorry. First cell is 3.862. Second cell is 3.860. And then your total voltage of your pack. And you can change it to different types of batteries depending on what you're checking.
This one's a LiPo.
The only batteries I have are LiPos that I worry about using this on, so I never change it. But it's good to have it, I guess, if you're into other things.
Yeah. So LiPos are pretty much the long-lasting.
Yeah.
The longest-lasting batteries in the world, pretty much. Because.
Well. No, there's probably other batteries out there.
Something
These
like
are the ones we use in the RC world.
Yeah, but our Armageddon RC is probably better, or RC battery is probably better than this because, yeah.
It's a 3-cell.
Yeah, it's a 3-cell.
It's a 5,000 milliamp also. But what were you running, seemed like 20, 25 minutes? Yeah. We had you set at 50%, which is going to make the battery last a lot longer anyway. But yeah. But anyway, and then just a couple specialty tools. This really isn't a specialty tool. Speaking of which, I've been meaning to cut this off of here. I've had these things for at least 5 years, and that's been on there the whole time. But these just come in handy for falling apart. Why is that? Oh, that broke.
Oh, yep. It broke.
It's a cheap Harbor Freight clamp. Doesn't matter if that's not
broke.
popped on. It doesn't matter. But if you need to hold on to something, they just come in handy. Used them quite a few times building RC cars.
You should get better ones than that because they probably already broke.
I don't use them that often that I'm going to worry about it. And these are from my machining days. I didn't mean to do that. Just a caliper. You can get cheap dial calipers or digital calipers from Harbor Freight. This is from back in my machining days. 12-inch caliper.
I'm surprised it's still working.
Well, yeah. Daddy didn't have cheap old tools. These were nice tools. They weren't the best. I had Browning, Starrett, Mitutoyo, but I like these. But these are good for checking. If you want to check a bearing, you can check a bearing, tell what size it is or whatever. And these are just a more accurate way of doing the exact same thing. Just a micrometer. I've used these a few times. Not much in the RC industry, but they come in handy if you need them. But anyway, that's just some of the tools that we use. I'll probably come out with a second one for to get into the soldering station, the airbrush, the chargers, just various things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So half of this stuff you don't really need.
No, a lot of it you don't really need, but it just comes in handy.
Yeah.
Now you got to put all this crap away.
So,
all right. Thanks for watching.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell. I just hit my knuckle. Subscribe. And
leave a comment.
You don't really have to leave a comment, but you can if you like the video. And like the video, subscribe, hit the bell.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.